Hello and welcome to Hardy Party at 5.5.
Hello, Rebecca.
How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good.
Are you?
Yeah.
Good. I like your shirt.
Well, thank you. Jurassic Park.
It is. You wear that shirt, you get so many compliments on it.
Well, it seems like every day I wear it outside the house, someone says something about it.
That's right.
And they're usually in the 30 to 40-year-old range.
I wonder why.
I guess in that 92, that was just the movie that people, the first movie was in 92 or 93.
Yeah.
So I think just that age group grew up with that movie.
Yeah. Doesn't it feel good to get compliments on your clothes?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So I remember one time I had your niece, actually, Brittany, went shopping with me, and it was so cool. She's just a very fashion conscious person. Like,
is she like a personal shopper kind of person?
She was at the time. I don't know if she's doing that now, but she's just very good at like looking at and thinking about what you need. And so what was cool is that I took stuff out of my closet to her. I actually had it in the trunk of my car while we were shopping. I had a few events coming up, my like high school reunion. I was speaking at a certain place and had some key things. And I was like, Brittany, help me design and put together these shoes with this. And she did the most unusual things I would have never done, like putting certain shoes with certain outfits. And I just thought, she has a gift that I do not have. And I think that's so cool. And today we have on our podcast someone who also has a gift. His name is Daniel Orlandi. And what all has he done?
Oh my gosh, he's done Jurassic World. He's done Ford versus Ferrari. He's done Logan.
Mm-hmm.
He's done like countless movies.
Right. So that's Hugh Jackman, Matt Damon, Christian Bale, I think Renee Zellweger.
Yep. With Cinderella Man and other movies. And Queen Latifah, one of your favorites.
She's one of my very favorites.
We get to find out what like Queen Latifah is on the set.
That's right. You want to know about all these people and how he dresses them for a role? You're going to love this interview with Daniel. So you guys enjoy. Well, thank you so much for taking time with us today. I know you're probably
pleasure.
Busy schedule, but we want to talk about all things costume designing with you. So we're super
excited. Cool.
Okay, I noticed on your Instagram that it says you're a former truck driver.
Yes.
You got to give us the backstory of how you were a truck driver and now you're like one of the most popular costume designers in Hollywood. So,
well, I was a set designer in college.
Yeah.
And one summer in college, I thought I had this job doing sets for summer stock. And then I don't remember exactly the story, but I don't think the theater opened that summer. So I was desperate for a job. And a friend of mine in New York City said, come to this costume shop. Maybe they have a job for you. I'm working there this summer. So I went there and they said, oh, the only job we have is truck driver. Can you drive a truck? And I said, yes, even though I couldn't.
Even though you couldn't?
Yeah. So that weekend, my dad borrowed some truck and he taught me how to drive a truck. And I drove a truck in Manhattan all summer.
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't kill anybody. I might have knocked over a few mailboxes, a few stop signs, scared a few people. But it was a really, really fun job.
Yeah, was it?
And I met a bunch of costume designers because I would be driving them out to the warehouse, and one of them, Anthony Powell, many Oscar-winning costume designer, filled me in on such great stories.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, well, you're a theater designer. Well, I'm doing a fitting. Maybe you should help me." And I'm like, "Oh, I've never been to a fitting before." So he said, you'll just be quiet, hang up the clothes. And I went into the fitting room and we were hanging up the clothes and waiting for the actor to come in. And it was Paul Newman.
Oh my
goodness.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
In your life?
Couldn't have been lovelier, It's funny. It was a small, the offices were the building off Times Square, which is talk about driving a truck through Times Square
Oh my goodness.
3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah.
But well, it was a little fitting room, and the door kept opening. And it would be like, oh, I'm head of, oh, I didn't know you were in here. Oh, hello. And then we close the door and somebody else would like walk in. And it's like, they all knew he was there.
Oh.
So finally, Paul said, just keep the door open as everybody in the whole building walked by.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
That's awesome.
Did you get flipped off a lot in your truck in Manhattan? That's
Oh, yeah.
what usually
Oh, yeah.
happens to us when we drive in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Kind of the way it is.
So how did you go from there? What was your first gig as the actual costume designer?
Wow. After college, I was doing off, 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 off Broadway shows for no money. And they were, they were fun, fun. And you would couch surf, sublet, go home to New Jersey and stay with my parents. And I had a daytime job. I worked for a fashion designer. I worked at a costume shop. And then 2 friends of mine from college, we started working for a production designer doing low budget PBS things. And they were really fun. And we went to Dallas on one, and we went to Connecticut on another. And then PBS Boston had no money left. And the 3 of us were talking and we're saying, all our friends in Los Angeles are working and making so much more money than us. And the 3 of us drove across the country and immediately found jobs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're 2 of my still best friends.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So I'm a hairdresser by nature, which
Yes.
I see you have a great hairdresser. I am
Is
wondering,
mine?
yes, yours. I'm wondering, like, when I get to do people's hair, I feel like I have a little bit of like helping them with their confidence or helping them with, how they feel about themselves or self-image. And like, do you feel that way when you get to costume design for someone? You get to like make those choices, and do you see them kind of come alive?
Oh, yeah. I'm very protective of actors. It's their performance. We're like more like psychologists sometimes.
Yes.
What's the character like? How beat up are their shoes? Where do they come from? What's their economic, and so I like to do that stuff and give actors little things that nobody might notice but them.
Yeah. And
Robert De Niro early on in my career taught me every detail is important. Every morning his costume would be in his trailer and I'd go in and he'd say, are these the socks that we chose? I'm like, yes. Okay.
So like every detail, because that actually, even if we're the audience that is not going to see it, they feel it.
Yeah. I love to give little things. I did a movie and Emma Thompson wears her father's ring. And we did flashbacks to when she was a little girl and Colin Farrell has the ring on. And that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
Did an HBO movie where his lover has died and he's gone to Yale, which they were supposed to go to together, and he's wearing his coat. And the actor in the fitting, I said, well, put this coat on and you'll wear that walking. And he said, this coat, why? I'm like, because that's your dead lover's coat. And he just started to cry.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's so
cool. I love to do that stuff. I love being involved.
Yes. And thoughtful. I mean,
well, it's their character. Sometimes a director will say, I think they should do this. And it's like, all right, but they want to do this.
Yeah.
And isn't it more important that they feel comfortable?
So how much do you get to say in, like, when you go onto a set, how much do you get to say, like, here's the direction I think we should go? Or does the director come in and tell you that? Does the actor tell you that? Or do you get to really make a lot of those decisions?
Well, a lot of it's, done before we get on set. Some directors like to look at everything once it all together, and then you change little things. And great ideas happen on the set, don't you think?
Yeah.
Great ideas happen on the set. I was that same HBO movie, Julia Roberts. We had a costume for her because she's giving this presentation, and they did the rehearsal, and she had her costume on. I'm like, oh, it's wrong. You should have the lab coat on. And I went to her and I ran back to the trailer, grabbed it, and she changed in the little utility closet.
And oh yes.
And it really made the scene so much more immediate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
So those are the great ideas. I love
yeah,
moving extras around and in a restaurant scene. Oh, those two people would never be having dinner together. Why would they be sitting at the table? And I get to
yeah.
the arguments with the ADs.
So do you actually present them with what you think and
The
then
actors
yes, or the
discuss it first.
okay.
And it's from the script. And if they have great ideas, if they have any ideas, I'm happy to try it, just as long as we can try my ideas too.
Okay, yeah.
Come to but it's their performance. I would never
Yeah.
dictate
Yes,
to
absolutely.
them.
That makes sense. So what is like the biggest costume project you've worked on to date?
Well, I've worked on a bunch of big ones.
Mhm.
Probably always the biggest is going to be our remake of the Alamo,
Huh.
Oh yeah.
where we dressed 800 people
Oh, my
every
goodness.
day
Oh my gosh.
for months.
Yeah.
Every
And
day?
the first day of shooting, yeah, because it was the weather, they never knew what they were going to shoot. Are we going to shoot the Mexican army? Are we going to shoot the defenders? Are we going to shoot the town? So every morning at 4 a.m., my assistant and I would be tying all the ties of the defenders. Then we'd run and do something else, and she'd go dress the children, and I'd go dress the stunt guys. And then we had the reenactors somewhere else. It was daunting.
Just the two of you?
No, no, no. We had a big crew
Oh,
because we were dressing people in 6 different places.
wow.
Our main wardrobe space was 30 minutes away from the set where we dressed everybody.
Oh
It
my,
was it was it was a hard show.
yeah.
Very rewarding. Uh, of course the movie, lost $150 million, which is sad because everybody worked so hard.
So hard.
Thornton in the movie is so good as Davy Crockett. Matter of
Uh-huh.
fact, I saw him like 4 or 5 years later, and we were just talking. He said that was the greatest experience of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just funny how some movies hit and some movies don't. It's just you never know
Yeah.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was
Joel
that?
Schumacher early on, he said, "Well, nobody sets out to make a flop movie or a bad
Yeah.
movie."
That's right. That's true.
So with that many costumes, how do you get all that made? What's the process of getting it made before you get on set? Like,
Well, here's the thing. There was a different director originally, and I
yeah.
started with them, and we started making prototypes. And then the movie shut down, and I took a whole other movie. But once a week, but Disney still wanted to make the movie. So once a week, I would go, and samples would be coming in from around the world. I mean, the armor was made in India, the embroidery was done in Pakistan.
Wow.
Mexico was making some of the uniforms and the shoes and the boots. So it was a lot.
Wow.
And then we had leather workers making. So, and then it started up again with a great director, John Lee Hancock. And then we've done now, I think, 8 movies together. So it was, for me, it was a win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As hard as we were working on that movie, John Lee was working harder than anybody.
Yeah. I bet.
Yeah. So let's talk about some other iconic characters you have. You had Jurassic World.
Yes.
You got
I see your t-shirt.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I threw it on because I knew we'd be talking about Jurassic. So you've got Owen Grady, which is Chris Pratt, and you've got Bryce Dallas Howard, who's Claire.
Yes.
So tell us about how you created those, because as soon as you think of Jurassic World, you think of those two characters. So what was the process in coming up with those looks?
Well, the director wanted them to be, he said, I want to see people dressed like them at Halloween.
That's
Right.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
I want them to be movie heroes. So we looked at old movies for Owen. We looked at, oh my God, my mind, the old Charlton Heston movie, where they also got Raiders of the Lost Ark's costume from.
Yeah.
His leather jacket. But of course, it's Hawaii and hot. You can't wear a big leather jacket. So we did a vest. I found this old vintage vest that we tried on. So we tried on lots of different things on Chris. What would his, and here's the thing. And then with Bryce's character, I looked at like this movie Mogambo, which is set in Africa, and she's all in white. And the director definitely wanted her in a light color.
Yeah.
And a skirt. And then, of course, it became the big thing with the high heels.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the heels too. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. She's this high-powered publicity person getting sponsors, walking them through the labs and everything. She's got high heels on. Then she goes out to him, drives out. Where does she change her shoes? Does she have them? We talked. Maybe she has a purse and she pulls out boots. That made no sense. And Bryce was like, let's just keep them on.
Yeah.
And then as her costume gets looser, she gets tougher and more rugged and more heroic.
Yeah.
And it's funny because she gets dirty and her skirt gets ripped. Not too much happens to Owen. So it's kind of interesting because then she sort of takes the lead. She saves him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the old Fred Astaire,
Right.
Ginger Rogers thing. She did everything he did except backwards and in heels.
And in heels. That's right.
Well, it's interesting with the colors. You've got Chris in the natural colors because he's more into the environment of where they're at, into the jungle. And then you've got Bryce. Again, I think the white shows that she's not in his world. So, yeah.
Two different worlds coming together. And then she gets a little bit more in his world as she gets dirty and the skirt gets ripped and her top comes off and she's got her tank top on.
Yeah.
We had bought these tank tops and dyed them that color, sort of a pale grayish orchid. And the company the next year came out with that color.
Oh, how funny. Yeah, well, I definitely saw a bunch of Halloween costumes this year. Like that in the last several years.
Yeah, Chris Pratt couldn't be nicer. And every day, I mean, because he has one costume through the whole movie, he kept saying, I love my costume. I love my costume.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Okay, so Jurassic World.
And the Jurassic Park t-shirt was the actor's idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The controller who's sitting in the control booth has one on.
Oh, how funny.
And it was his idea. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea.
Great idea. He cannot go out in public in this shirt that somebody does not say
every time I go out, somebody says something.
Every time.
Yeah.
Well, you know that when the first one came out, Jurassic World, I'd never seen anything like that.
Yeah. No, we had not.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And just that age range of 30s to 40s, they always say something about my shirt. Okay, so now we're getting into it. One of my favorite movies ever, Ford versus Ferrari. Totally excited.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Like a top 5 movie for me. When you were offered the movie, what was your initial reaction to taking it?
Well, first, when they were sending me the script, I thought, oh, I don't know anything about car racing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard of Carroll Shelby. But I read the script and the script is so good. Because it's, so many women that I know came up to me and said, I really went with my boyfriend or my husband and I thought, I have no interest in this movie. And I think I liked it better than him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good story. It's about friendship and the little guy and
yeah, it is. So what about the costuming for those 3 main guys, Christian Bale, Matt Damon, and Lucas? Like how did that work for you?
Well, here's the thing. I've done a lot of movies about real people. I don't like when an actor is doing an impersonation.
Okay.
They're inhabiting the character. So you might adjust things for the script and for their body as compared as the real person. I mean, a good example, I'm going off on a thing, was when we did The Blind Side. Sandra Bullock wanted to look exactly like Leanne Tui. And so we got all of these clothes. We photographed clothes in her closet. And Leanne Tui wears bright colors and bold patterns. The first fitting with Sandra Bullock, it just looked wrong.
Yeah.
It just looked vulgar, too much, a little jokey with the blonde hair. And we took all the color out of her costumes and we took all the pattern out of her costume. So she's only sort of in neutrals and navy blue.
Yeah.
And then the character worked. And then the skirts could be a little too tight. So it's like she inhabited that character, but she wasn't doing an impersonation.
Yeah.
Same with Christian Bale. Although we, of course, had to recreate all of the training jackets, all of the crew jackets, all of the crew shirts, all the different racing teams, and of course the racing uniform.
Right. Yeah, because
So,
they all had their own color palette, right? The different races.
yes. Oh yeah, the 3 different races. We the production designer and I sort of did it secretly when he gave them the 3 different
Yeah.
looks. You know, the first one is sun-baked California cool. The second one is East Coast, and it's a little more earthy, and plaid shirts, cowboy boots, cowboy hats.
Yeah.
A little more you're allowed to say rednecky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can say that. We're in Texas. You can say
And
that.
then the third one, yeah, I mean, my neck is pretty red though, actually. And then the third one is Le Mans, which is weird because it's not Paris. It's not hip 60s Paris. It's very conservative, and it's almost in the 50s, even though it's the 60s.
Yeah.
And we gave it that look. And the Italians, when we did the Ford executives and the Ferrari executives, there's a big color difference. The Ford guys are all sort of slick gray, steel colors, silver, and the Italians are all old world browns and richer colors, whiter ties, pleated pants. There's a big, so it was really fun. It was so much fun to do, and also one of the biggest movies I've ever done. We had many scenes worth 1,000 extras.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I want to go back and watch it again to catch all the things that you just said, because I think that we as viewers and maybe underappreciate you, because we would see it if it was out of place.
Right. Yeah.
But we don't see it when it's perfectly in place, which is what you're so great at.
Yeah, it's fun. I love it. And I love, sometimes even smaller movies where I can go in and dress all the extras.
Yes.
Certain little movies that I've done, it's like, okay, we're doing this like CD bar. I'm dressing all the extras.
Yeah. Oh,
well, I was just thinking that too. Is like, we don't realize when reviewing it how much the costume design and the colors are impacting the story.
Yeah.
And it like helps the story move along.
So a lot of times on a lot of movies, especially, I don't want the costumes to get in the way of the story.
Right. Yeah.
You don't, it's not like fashion. You don't want someone to walk in the room and say, oh my God, she looks great.
Yeah.
You just want her to look real. I mean, when movies are, people talk about, well, what's your favorite movie that's other, and it's like All the President's Men. It looks perfect. It was done as a period movie, even though it was only 10 years after. It was done, and every character is so well defined, but not too much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's true about that.
Well, with Matt Damon, did you struggle at all with making him look the Texas without going too far with it, or was that pretty?
Get some pearl snap.
Well, originally the director was like, "Oh, maybe he should be more Texan," and Matt was like, "Well, we'll try it." But the first day, we kept making his pants tighter, and the first day, Matt says, I don't think I can wear these pants anymore. I'll get through today. I'm like, why? He goes, I can't lift my leg. And I was like, put your foot up on this step. He said, I can't.
Oh gosh. He's in a straitjacket.
So actually, after the first day, because the director was like, maybe a big cowboy belt, but that, and the director was like, you know what? He can act the part. He doesn't need that.
Doesn't need that. Yeah.
And Matt was like, of course I can.
Yeah.
I was so excited to work with Matt Damon because he's one of my most favorite actors.
Really?
He disappears into parts.
Yes.
I never think of him as Matt Damon.
That's right. It's like it's Matt, but it's not Matt.
Yeah.
Because sometimes an actor that you know so well, you're like, oh, that's like, you think Jack Nicholson. That's Jack Nicholson. Like, but Matt kind of somehow it's him, but you don't go, oh, that's Matt Damon.
He is so good.
Yeah. Cool. Christian Bale does that too, I think.
Absolutely. So to work with the two of them was really so exciting for me.
Yeah.
And they couldn't be more collaborative, more exciting to work with, and so much fun to work with.
Yeah, well, they do wear those jeans tight and starched here in Texas. Very starched, heavily starched.
It's not about comfort, is it?
Not about comfort.
Look. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But so we gave him a little more room in the seat.
Yeah. Smart.
Yeah, they should be able to walk upstairs.
Yeah, that's true.
You should probably be able to move your legs when you're
Yeah,
on set. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so you've also worked in the superhero genre. You've done everything.
Mhm.
So you did
That's the best thing about our job. It's always different.
Oh,
You go
yeah,
into a
exactly.
different world. Sometimes
Yeah.
a subject that you think would be so uninteresting becomes all consuming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
You
you
know,
did
when
X-Men, Dark Phoenix, and Logan. So how
yes.
do you make it look? Because X-Men Dark Phoenix is more of a period film, and then you've got Logan. So how do you make it fantastical like a superhero movie, but then stay grounded at the
Well,
same?
neither of them are particularly fantastical.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
First we did Logan, and I went in, and that was the same James Mangold who did Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah.
And I had to confess, I said, I've never seen a Wolverine movie. And he goes, oh, that's better.
Oh, yeah.
And we just talked about what they would wear, and he wanted it. And there was some concept art that was so over the top. I'm like, is that what you want? And he's like, oh, God, no. So we made
Yeah.
it grounded. Even the Reavers, were the bad guys. We made them, they're sort of just tactical gear. Because I'm like reading the script. It's like, well, they walk into a casino if they're dressed in these fantastical costumes. Wouldn't everybody like look at them?
Yeah.
And he said, yes. So we made them sort of tactical gear, and then even less when they walked into the casino.
Yeah.
So it's all very, very grounded. And, we came up with interesting concepts for them.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I had said, Logan is a chauffeur at the beginning, and he's driving a limousine. And I said, well, maybe he's got a black jacket, a white shirt, and a tie, but maybe it's black jeans. And the director was like, no, it should be a suit. So we were fitting Hugh, and I put him in the black jeans and the jacket. And the director walked in and said, yes, this is exactly what I want, a black suit. And we laughed. And Hugh said, they're black jeans. And he said, all right, fine. But then you can do so much more, and it looks so much more thrown together.
I think what's so fascinating that you just said is that you went onto set with Hugh Jackman knowing what you were filming, and you hadn't seen you hadn't seen a Wolverine movie. So
Well, I watched them all when I got the job.
yeah, okay. That's what I wondered, if you like
Oh, yeah.
looked at all that.
You need to know the history. And
Yeah.
I went in, and I was very surprised because I hadn't done any movies like that before.
Yeah.
That I was having the meeting, and then he hired me.
Right. Yeah.
And I was excited to do it because it was something new, and that's, and 4:00 in the morning, we were up in the woods, and we'd be going up to start our day and start dressing all the extras. And you'd see, Hugh jogging by, doing his morning training.
Oh my goodness.
All right, he's working hard too.
Yeah. We interviewed somebody in the cast of Music Man, and they said that was so cool is that he and Sutton Foster both knew everybody's name, from anybody that was sweeping the floor to handing out a program to everybody. I mean, from day one, knew their names and addressed them as such. And I just thought that's just so classy.
Yeah, he had a cabin when we were up in the woods, and he had the different departments over for dinner every night.
Wow. That's so cool.
Well, it just makes the set feel like a family. So I think everybody works better that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. He's so kind and nice. And his dresser on that movie, she retired right after, but she, on her husband's, their anniversary, went to New York to see the Music Man. And she just sent him an email and said, hey, we're coming Wednesday night. I just want to make sure you're performing.
Yeah.
He's like, turn back your tickets. You're my guests.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, what, 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's so cool. Okay, we're going to mention some names. I want you to tell us
Okay.
Just how it was to work with them and what they were like. And this, I'm starting with one of your one of Rebecca's favorites.
Yes.
Okay.
It's Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah.
So what was she like to work with?
Oh, we did this movie last holiday, and the last 2/3 of the movie were in the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Summer resort in the dead of winter. And we had so much fun because we were staying in the hotel and shooting in the hotel.
No.
And the bar in the hotel, every night, everybody would congregate down there, cast and crew, and she would sing with the local band or LL Cool J or Smokey Robinson. They'd get up and do a few songs with the band. And
oh my goodness.
It was just so much fun. And she's great. And she had a trainer with her. And every afternoon when we were done shooting, if we could, she would do a different kind of exercise class, a yoga class, a aerobics class, a Pilates class.
Yeah.
That whoever wanted to come could come. And it was just, and making all the clothes for her. She's great.
Yeah.
I know the poster, they were the first poster that they showed her, they went in and had slimmed her body, and she said, no way.
Not doing that. Yeah.
No way. I mean, you couldn't even attempt to do that nowadays, but
no. I definitely want to be her when I grow up.
She's great. Fun. She loved the clothes.
Yeah.
People love that movie.
Yes, that's fantastic.
Okay, now Michael Keaton, what was he like?
Well, he's great. I mean, he's so good in The Founder.
Yeah, a great movie. Yeah,
sort of like neglected. There was a whole thing with Harvey Weinstein was one of the producers.
Yeah,
and it was a mistake. And he really screwed Michael Keaton because he was so good in that movie and worked so hard. And he was really fun to work with and make the character because he liked to argue about clothes, which is fun for me.
Yeah.
Why? Why do I have to wear this? I'm like, because da, da, da. And he's like, and I think he gave some interview afterward. He said, I would say, no, I'm not wearing that. And all of a sudden, there I am on set wearing it. So it's great. And I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Well, I contend, like, when I work on corporate shows and stuff, and just being creative in general, I think some friction helps the creative process.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it makes you work harder.
Right. Yeah. And you come up with, like you talked about with the other things, you come up with a better answer from like just exploring it a little more, asking those questions about it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I like it. Well, James Mangold, who directed the two other movies, he likes to art. You have to prove your point.
Yeah.
About why someone should wear that.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that creative process.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have Renee Zellweger. What's she like?
She is a shining light in my life.
Really?
I've never worked with anybody kinder, more prepared. It was so great. I got this movie and she had to approve me. And I had sort of to go in for the interview. I had worked with this line producer on another film, a low budget film, and she got me the job. She brought me in first, and I had designed the whole movie. And Renee looked at all the sketches and she's like, yes, let's go for it. Wow. So I will always be grateful for her. And it was so much, that movie was one of the most fun times I ever had. It's a movie I did when the Alamo shut down.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
And it was so fun to dress Renee in sort of Doris Day homage clothes where everything matched. The production designer and I, the color of her suit is the color of her apartment's sofa. And one of the actors' red vest is the exact red color of his wall.
Yeah.
So we wanted it to have that completely authentic, completely fake look of a Doris Day movie from the 60s.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Where she just changes costumes all the time.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. And then 2 years later, I did a movie with Renee, and she plays a New Jersey housewife in the Depression.
Oh.
So it was like from this high glamour to
oh yeah, is that Cinderella Man?
Cinderella Man.
Yeah.
It's also a really good movie, I think.
Oh, yes. Very good movie.
Russell Crowe is amazing in it.
Yeah.
As is Renee, who's the heart of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
It was
what?
also one of the biggest movies I ever did because
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
had 800 to 1,000 extras in all the boxing scenes.
Oh my.
And
Wow.
originally we were going to do all the boxing scenes first.
Uh-huh.
And Russell Crowe rightly said, I cannot box 5 days a week, for 10 hours a day. So it
Yeah.
would be 2 days a week. So we had these 1,000 costumes and then we go do something else. It's like, but we can't use any of those costumes because they're coming back.
Oh wow.
So it was like, it became a big, big hardship on getting everybody dressed every day.
Oh my goodness, I cannot imagine. So, what is in Daniel's closet? Do you have a designer that you love? And also, do you just throw on a hat when you go get coffee? Like, what do you daily like?
I don't think about my clothes
Okay.
very much. I wear almost always the same thing.
Okay.
I look a crew neck, long sleeve t-shirt or sweater, khaki pants or jeans, a polo shirt when it's hot. I was working in Canada on Cinderella Man, and someone from grammar school had sent me this picture of us, and it's in second grade, and we're all there,
Yeah.
sitting on the bleachers, and I'm showing my assistant and some other people, and I'm like, oh my God, look, I've never seen this picture before. And they're like, oh, that's you. That's you. Everybody got me. And they were like, I was like, how did you know? They said, because you're wearing exactly the same.
Oh my.
So
So,
it's on brand then.
yes.
Yeah, I don't like to think about it. I like to be comfortable. I
Yeah.
like to look neat and presentable. Anytime I've ever bought anything odd, I put it on and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna take that off.
That's fascinating that you just like the plain basic. I love that.
I buy the same sweater, same khaki jeans or pants, same jeans.
That's so great.
So what's on the docket for you right now? Is there any big projects you're working on?
I just finished a movie with Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, okay.
That will come out. I doubt if it will. I think it'll come out next year.
Okay.
And we're waiting for this movie I did in Budapest called Borderlands from the video game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It'll be coming out at the end of the year, I hope.
Yes.
Who's in Borderlands?
It's an amazing cast. It's Kate Blanchett.
Okay.
Know the video game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kate Blanchett, Jamie Lee Curtis,
Ooh.
Edgar Ramirez. Yeah, it's an amazing cast.
Yeah,
That's
sounds
awesome.
fascinating.
Cheyenne Jackson.
Yeah, that sounds great. I also am a big J-Lo.
It's wild.
Yeah, so that will be the next
Wild. It was a
that.
wild ride. We shot it in Budapest during the pandemic.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I had this great apartment thinking all my friends could come and visit, and the country was locked down the whole time we were there.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, we thank you so much for taking time to talk to us.
It's my pleasure.
You have a lot going, a lot on your plate, and we thank you for talking to us and just giving us a little peek behind the curtain of what your life is like and what a cool job you have.
I love my job, as you must love your job.
I love my job. I love dealing with people. I love all the things about it.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a different world. I feel very lucky.
Yes, absolutely.
Very lucky. I've worked with some amazing people.
You're both kind of psychologists. Like you do the hair and he does the clothes, and you come up with a new.
Oh, I've said that for years. It's like we're psychologists. It's like,
yeah, absolutely. Psychologist, bartender, hairdresser, costume designer.
You have to deal with them for a couple of hours every morning. I just go in when they get dressed.
That's true. That's true.
And then go address all the extras and
Yes. Yeah. But I do find that, I mean, it's a psychology part of it that, and maybe this is not true in your field, but in my field, if someone is not happy with the way they look, they are not typically happy with their hair. And so if they're not happy with their self-body image, or if they're not happy with something else that's going on, they've got something else going on in their life, I typically can't make them happy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because we'll do a fitting and the director will say, make them wear this, and they'll try it on. And like, I can talk them into it in the fitting on the first day of shooting, but do you really want to have to talk them into it every day for a couple months?
No.
It's funny because actors will come in and say, "Oh my God, I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep this." And by the time the movie's over, it's like, I never want to see
I never want to see this again. That's true. Absolutely.
Especially Matt Damon's jeans. He never wants to see those again.
To see those
Well,
again.
we made them right after the first. As a matter of fact, by the end of the day, we switched him out at lunchtime.
Yeah, that was smart.
There you go.
Yeah, you can't step up in the jeans they were in Texas, but you can two-step. You just can't step up onto steps. Yeah, that's what they're good for here. Well, thank you again for taking time with us today. It was great chatting with you. You have a wealth of knowledge, and what a cool job, and just a delight. So we just thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Well, that was some fascinating information.
It really was.
Yeah, I my very favorite thing was, just a little side note in there, was about Sandra Bullock and the way that he changed the way that Leanne, because I follow Leanne Tui on social media, so I know how she dresses very boldly.
Does she still dress boldly like that?
Yeah, she does.
Okay.
She's pretty Southern.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was interesting, because I don't think I ever connected that in my mind, that Sandra Bullock was dressed a little more muted color palette.
Yeah, more subtle.
I hadn't put that in my mind until he said it, but it's right. And I was trying to picture Sandra Bullock in something very colorful for that role. And he was dead on in saying she would have looked like a clown.
Well, yeah, it would have become off more campy because she already was embodying a big character, big personality. Mm-hmm. You add these crazy clothes to it, and it would have kind of been comical, maybe. Yeah, and totally. Unintentionally.
Right. So what was your favorite part?
To me, just the whole thing of, like we talked about with him, was how the colors and the fabrics tell a story within the story, and drive the story. And when you're watching it, you don't really realize it. And like what you said is, you only notice it when it's out of place.
When it's out of place.
And when it's done perfectly, you don't notice, and it doesn't distract from the story.
Right.
But just to know how much it does, it changes how the viewer looks at a movie or story.
Totally. I agree 100%.
Totally fascinating to me.
Yeah. Well, we hope you enjoyed this interview with Daniel Orlandi as much as we did. We learned a lot, and now I want to go rewatch Ford versus Ferrari so I can see all the color palettes and all the races. What about you?
Okay, anytime.
Party of 5.5, over and out.
We'll see you next time.